Hey guys, this is Eliza and welcome back to a new video. So today is the next video in my top 8 series, and today I'll be talking about YA sci-fi books. These are both standalones as well as series, but I made sure that I kept it to series that I had read at least 2 in the series, if not all of them. So there is a couple others that I've loved, but they're only first books in series, and you know, I don't think it's fair to include them because who knows what book 2 is gonna bring. Maybe it's freaking horrible, I don't know. So I've kept it with ones that I've read at least 2, which I think there's 3. Yeah, there's 3 in this one, 4 in this one that I've read 2 of them. But one of them's a duology. So these are in no particular order, I am just picking them up off my table. So first we have the Darkest Minds trilogy by Alexandra Bracken. This one is a dystopian sci-fi, so it's like a sci-fi-ish world, but it is dystopian. But it does also have fantasy elements because there is magical abilities type thing. They're not considered magical because they were caused by a disease, so that makes it sci-fi. I haven't read The Darkest Legacy, which is the 4th book in the series. It was written a lot later than these ones were, so I tried reading it, but I wasn't exactly hooked, so I DNF'd it. But I do want to, read it at some point, but at the moment I have not read it, so I'm only talking about the original trilogy. And also I have read the novella bind-up as well, which is really good too. But The Darkest Minds follows Ruby, and one day when she is 10 years old, she wakes up and her parents are completely changed, have no idea who she is, and they lock her in the garage, call the cops, she gets taken away to this rehabilitation center called Thurmond. Basically in this world there was this disease that is killing children, and the ones that survive end up with these weird abilities, and that's the ones that are sent to Thurmond to rehabilitate them. Ruby ends up escaping, and she is on the run to try and find this safe haven that is meant to be, safe for all these children that have these special abilities where they can just live. I love the friendship in this one. I love the world. It's really fascinating. I love these abilities. They're super unique abilities. They're not just basic ass, invisible, firepower, the basic stuff. They're quite unique, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I had a lot of fun reading this. I do want to give this one a reread, and I'll probably do that on audiobook, I'm thinking, depending on how good the audiobook is, and then then read The Darkest Legacy as well, so I'm kind of up to date. I don't know if there is going to be any other books. I don't think there is any talked about at the moment, but who knows? The Darkest Legacy came out how many years after these ones did, so anything is possible. But I do highly recommend the original trilogy if you're looking for a dystopian type sci-fi. I don't actually have a dystopian category, mainly because there's only really 3 or 4 that I can fully recommend that I love, which is why the dystopians go on into other categories where they fit. So next we have the first 2 books in the Nixia Triad series. So I haven't read the Nixia, what's the next one? Nixia Rising. I haven't read that one yet, but I have read Nixia and Nixia Unleashed, which are the first 2 books, and I really enjoyed these. They are so fun. It also follows a male main character, which I just don't read that many books that have male main characters. I feel like majority of them have female, or if they are male, it's because it's multiple point of view and there's a female and a male. But anyways, so in this one we follow Emmett, I believe. Yes, Emmett, who is given a contract to work for this company called Babel, but he has to head off Earth, and the price is good, and he wants to be able to come home after this contract and, look after his family for the rest of their life. But once they get off Earth and they're on their way to this planet that they're meant to be traveling to, they discover that it is actually a competition and not all of them will be able to go to this planet and mine the Nixia, which is what the title. But also Babel has a lot of shit up their sleeve, and there's a lot of chaos that ensues. So I really enjoyed this one. It is high action packed. I love the competition aspect. I love the friendships that grow. I love the relationships. I love the world. It's super interesting. So next we have a standalone, and that is Armada by Ernest Cline. I have actually 3 technically Ernest Cline books on here because I'll be talking about Ready Player One in a second, but I really enjoyed Armada as well, and I feel like this one's definitely not talked about as much as Ready Player One is. But basically this one is very reminiscent of the movie Pixels, the one with Adam Sandler in it, where basically aliens invade as video game characters from Earth, and then the gamers have to try and save the world because the normal government has no idea how to defeat these games. But very similar ideas. So in Armada we follow Zach, is that his name? Yes, Zach, who is a gamer, movie lover, book lover, you know, and one day he spots an alien spaceship that looks identical to the ones in a game called Armada that he used to play. So the government starts recruiting gamers to help them basically protect the planet from these spaceships that are replicating the game Armada. But as this starts playing out, Zach realizes there's a lot of there is a lot of things in common to other sci-fi movies, shows, and games. There's all these other elements that are coming in. The main focus obviously is Armada, but there's also other games and stuff that are brought into this, and I just love this so much. It is so action-packed. I loved the characters, I loved the gaming aspect, I love the movie Pixels, and I love this one as well. So this was really fascinating and I just really enjoyed it. And of course it's got Ernest Cline's writing, which is just amazing. While we're talking about Ernest Cline, we may as well talk about Ready Player One. I don't actually have my copy of Ready Player Two yet, but we're talking about both of them. So this one only just made it to this list because, as I said at the start, I was only including books where I've read at least 2 in the series, and this is so far a duology. Originally this was a standalone, but then this other sequel came into play, so you know. But I actually finished Ready Player 2 a couple weeks ago. If I hadn't finished it, I would have been talking about Proxy by Alex London, so that's like a number 9 in case you're curious. Proxy is really good as well, but this one just beats it. So Ready Player 1 and Ready Player 2 are really good. I love the pop culture references. I don't always get all of them because, you know, I just don't know all of them, but I do like the ones that I understood. I love the aspect of the Oasis. I love this gaming aspect, and if you didn't know, this one follows, what is the main character's name? I keep thinking Zach, but that's the other one, Wade. Zach's in Armada. But this one follows Wade, and basically in this world, the real world is shit, so everyone lives inside this virtual reality type world called the Oasis. And the owner of the Oasis, or the creator of the Oasis, died, and he left Easter eggs to find, and Wade ends up finding a clue which is leading him towards finding the Easter egg, and all of a sudden people want to be his friend, people want to kill him, you know. Chaos ensues, and I just love this one. I also highly recommend the audiobook because it is narrated by Will Wheaton, both Ready Player 1 and Ready Player 2, and I just think it's the perfect narrator for this series. I don't know why, just Will Wheaton's voice just does it, so really enjoy it. And also, I will briefly talk about the movie because I did really enjoy the movie as a movie on its own. If you compare it to Ready Player 1, hell no, because they changed like all the references that are mentioned in Ready Player 1. There's references in the movie, but they are more modern, whereas these ones are like more 80s, I think. Is it 80s, 70s? I'm pretty sure it's 80s. So it just gives a different vibe, and it just doesn't follow the same plot. Like I said, Ready Player One, the movie as itself, is a good movie. Like, I enjoyed it as a movie, but it does not compare to Ready Player One. That is for sure. But anyways, really enjoyed this one, highly recommend it. So next we have Contagion by Erin Bowman. Now, this one is kind of the exception. Well, I have read both the books in the series, but this is kind of the exception because I'm only actually recommending the first book. The second book, while it was a decent book, it did not live up to this. Like, as a sequel to this, no way in hell. This is a YA sci-fi horror thriller. Like, very thrilling, very creepy, edge of your seat, like you're looking behind you while you're reading because like you feel like there's something watching you. Like, it's creepy. But the second one is just like a straight sci-fi, so I feel like it kind of, like, everything that was amazing and thrilling and gripping about this book, it lost it in the second one. So while it is a good story on its own, it doesn't live up to this one. So if you're gonna read it, I suggest just reading Contagion. It kind of wraps up good. Like, it's not like 100% wrapped up, but I think it does wrap up nice enough just on its own that you could easily read it by itself. I wish I had read Contagion and not read Immunity. But Contagion follows this small crew who was called out on an SOS call from a distant, it's not a mining company, it's like a, what's the word for it? A work detail. After receiving an urgent SOS from a work detail on a distant planet, a skeleton crew is dispatched to perform a standard search and rescue mission. So when they arrive, the place is abandoned, there is dead bodies everywhere, there is rotten food everywhere, there is weapons left everywhere, and they start trying to investigate to figure out what the fuck went down here. But some things should be left undiscovered. I've already basically said my thoughts. This is gripping, it is thrilling, it is edge of your seat, it is action-packed. I just loved it. I'm more getting into thrillers, and I think this one is definitely helped me get more into thrillers because this was just amazing, like edge of your seat. Highly recommend. But like I said, yeah, Immunity, it's okay, but like it doesn't live up to this. So next we have This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. I haven't actually read the third book yet. I need to. It's been a while, but I definitely need to read it. It is on my December TBR, so I might pick it up next if I get a chance. There's like 2 books that I really want to pick up next, so it's going to either be that or The Reckless Afterlife of Harriet Stoker. But anyways, so This Mortal Coil is another dystopian sci-fi. This dystopian deals with a disease, so that's where like the sci-fi science elements kind of come into it. But this one follows our main character Katerina, but basically a soldier turns up at her house to let her know that her father is dead. Her father was a leading, what's the term, geneticist who was working on the cure for this disease, and Katerina ends up finding a code in, this is like technical terms, so let me make sure I'm saying this right. Hidden beneath Cole's, who's the soldier, Cole's geno-hacked enhancements, she finds a message of hope. Lachlan, which is her father, created a vaccine, but only she can decrypt it, only she can find it as his daughter. So this one is high action. There is a romance in here, but I didn't hate it, so, you know, which as a non-romance liker, that was good. But this one is action-packed, it is chaos, it is crazy, edge of your seat, there is always something going on, it is completely unpredictable, and I just had an amazing time reading this one and the sequel, This Cruel Design, and I can't wait to read This Vicious Cure. It has been so long, but I need to read it. I've just put it off for so long because like I kind of don't want this to end, and I'm also nervous because like, what if it's not as good as the other 2 books? I don't know, but I need to actually finish reading this one. But This Mortal Coil is just amazing and I highly recommend picking it up. So the next 2 are both by the same authors. So first we have Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and of course Illuminae is on this list as well. I'll talk about it in a minute. But Aurora Rising follows multiple point of view, but we follow this crew who they have just gotten out of, they just graduated cadets, and they're just being sent off on their first mission, but they end up finding Aurora, who has been in a cryo sleep for 2 decades? Trapped in cryo sleep for 2 centuries, not decades, 2 centuries. And it says, but she could be the catalyst that starts a war millions of years in the making, and Tyler's squad of losers, discipline cases, and misfits might just be the last hope the entire galaxy has. Action-packed, super fun. I love this group of friends. I love the multiple point of view. There is a couple romances in here which are fine. They're like not too extra, but you know, they're in there. One of them does actually serve a purpose to the plot. It's not just like there's a romance. It is part of the plot. So I did enjoy that. But Aurora Burning does end on a massive cliffhanger. Like, you have no idea who was alive. You don't know what the fuck just happened. Chaos. So I'm really keen for book 3. We don't even have a title for book 3 yet, so yep, I need book 3, please. So I'm going to quickly show you these, which, the Illuminae files, and then I'm going to put them all down except for one because they're heavy. So of course, last on this list is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This would be my favorite, I think, out of this list, hands down. It is on my top 5 favorite series. I don't think I really need to explain this one, but basically Katie and Ezra, our main characters, broke up the morning this starts. They are living on this illegal mining planet, and suddenly some big ass asshole company comes out of the sky and starts trying to kill everything, and they end up escaping on spaceships that are, you know, in pursuit by one of these asshole guys. That basically sums it up. But I love the format of this one. Of course, if you don't know, this is written as a dossier. So there is like heaps of different types of files and stuff. There's not actually any novel per se in this. There is interviews and maps and text conversations and emails and, you know, heap of other jargon in there. I haven't used that word for a while. But Illuminae is just amazing. I have read this multiple times. The audiobook is incredibly done. It is like a full-on, like, act, like, I don't know, it's like, this is amazing. I love the reading it, I love this format, but the audiobook is like a completely different experience as well. Full cast narration, just absolutely amazing. Highly recommend picking up the audiobook, especially if you're intimidated, because like, these books are like 700 pages, well, 600 to 700 pages depending on which one it is, and they're huge and they can be intimidating with this format, but the audiobook is amazing. So highly recommend picking that up, and I don't think I need to talk about this anymore, because who hasn't heard of it? If you haven't heard of it, at least heard of it. What rock are you living under? So that was my top 8 YA sci-fi books. This video was a little all over the place. I feel like I'm just in a weird mood. I don't know, but anyways. So let me know in the comments what your favorite sci-fi is, or what a sci-fi, that wasn't a good sentence. What sci-fi you recommend to people all the time whenever anyone asks for a sci-fi recommendation. What do you say? Because while I feel like I've read like a decent amount of sci-fi, I've definitely not read as much sci-fi as I could have read. So I definitely want to read more. So let me know that in the comments. But that is it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one.